Guys, in previous video we learned about how to use your Chrome developer tools to edit your HTML, to use color palettes, materials and page colors on your site. Okay, we also learned how to change the color code format, the tooltip that indicates us where the element lies. We can put the element scroll into view, to use the H key to hide the element. We also learn how to set up breakpoints. Now we'll further explore the breakpoints. So we learned about conditional breakpoints. Now I also want to show you, so if I remove this, if I set a breakpoint here, then sit here, and now if I go and check, you can see that this is anonymous index.just1 call stack. Then there is this one, and there is this one. So there are different call stacks that's happening. So if I keep going this right, next, and keep going. Okay, so you can check what call stacks are over here. Okay, then the next one is, guys, the so let's say there's a long JavaScript file and you don't know where your code lives. So in that case, let's say we have an fetch call to some API URL, okay, and I want to find that. So I know some part of the URL, I don't know the entire one. So let's say I know some. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and add a breakpoint by clicking on plus sign and say that break when URL contains some. And I'm going to hit enter and I'll refresh the page, and sure enough you can see that it's added the breakpoint at this place, right? So it's pretty easy, you can debug it that way. Okay, and if you want to remove it, just do right click and remove breakpoint. Another way of doing this, guys, is by adding a debugger at the end of your wherever you want, actually, in your code, by typing the keyword debugger and then semicolon. If I add this over here, if I go back, refresh the page, sure enough you can see that the debugging is added. Let me just refresh it once again. Yep, you can see this debugger is added at this point. You have all the information available here for each one of these, right? That's also one way of adding a debugger, right? Let's remove it. Now let's remove that debugger. Let's remove it, refresh it. Now there's some of the cool features in console besides the fact that you have an option of consoling log over here. You can do like you have jQuery available to you always in the console, which means that you don't really need to include jQuery to be able to use it. You have jQuery available. Okay, so if I go ahead and remove this first of all, and if I want to select an element, I can do like this. Okay, and then hash, what was the name of it? JS menu text. Okay, and if I hit enter, sure enough you can see that it selected that element that stays in the DOM, which is here. Okay, have I removed the debugger or not? Let's see. Or is it coming here? Okay, there is an error over there, it seems. Okay, fresh. Alright guys, I just want to show you where is this coming from. So I didn't apply anything over here. Even if I uncheck it, I'm getting this. Why? Is because remember in the first video we went on this element, we did a right click, and then we clicked on break on and this attribute modification. So we had checked this. So you can come over here and uncheck it for this to go off. Okay, it's gone now. All right. So the cool thing I want to show you guys is that if you come over here and if you select an element like this one, for example, okay, you can come to console and do jQuery $, and then 0, and then hit enter. You will get that element that you've selected. That's pretty cool, right? And then you can see what's going on over here, just in case if you want to isolate it over here and just check what's going on. Okay, next thing is that if you now come over here and select this, and now you try to check 0, you will have that element. So $0 will always have the latest element that you've selected, but this is called the history, the DOM history. So if you see $1, you will see that the previous element that you selected is now available in $1. Okay, similarly you can have $2, and this goes on. So basically 0 will have the latest, 1 will have the one prior to that, 2 will have one prior to that, what you selected over here, and so on. Okay, so this will continue. So that's pretty handy. That's something really cool. So that was the DOM selection history. Now the next thing is that if I want to know what events are applied to a particular element. Okay, so if I can click on this, if I go to event listeners, I can see there is a click event that's applied over here on this, right? So you can get to know what are the click events that are applied by going to event listeners by selecting that particular item, after selecting that item. Okay, now in case if you want to exclude something from the debugging, okay, so you can do black boxing for that. Okay, so what you can do is say go to settings, and then you go to black boxing, and then you can add a pattern over here, whichever, like if you don't want to include the jQuery file. So let's say if you want to debug something and you don't want the jQuery file to be included for that, because that's a third-party resources, you only want to focus on your code, what you have written, where the error is coming from. You can exclude these from using, putting the file name over here for that particular file that you want to exclude from debugging. Okay, that's that. One of the other cool feature is that if you want to change the theme, the color theme of this in Chrome Developer Tool, you can again click on these three dots, click on settings, then go to theme, and you can change it to dark. Pretty cool, right? I mean, if you've been bored working on the white background theme, you can change it to this one, the black one. It looks pretty cool. Let's see this one. Right. Great, awesome. Let's put it back to the original one. Okay, great. Next thing, guys, we will learn in case if we make some changes over here, and if we want the changes to be reflected into a file. For example, if I change the background here to this, and now if I refresh the page, you can see the changes are lost. Sometimes it's pretty easy for us to write CSS in the inspect element because we can see the live changes over here. However, those changes are not reflected or implemented into our source code file. But if we want to do that, what we can do is we could go to sources, and we can go to file system and add our directory here. Before we jump into it, I want to show you what this page does. So page will contain your project directory and all the files that are included. So I have my index file, I have index.js, I have CSS, so all of that will be included. So you can see this is the test project. We have the index.php, index.js, super CSS, so all of that is available here. So if I come over here and if I click on add folder to workspace, you need to select the same directory that you have used for your site. So my site is test project, and that's the directory I'm using here. So I'll come over here, I'll click on the add folder, and I'll go over here, test project, select. When you select it, you will see a notice over here, DevTools request full access to so and so. Make sure you do not expose any sensitive information. So Chrome wants you to allow for any changes to be made. Hence, if you click on allow, you can see this, there is a green dot over here and there's a green dot over here as well, which means this file that you've included, this directory that you've included, is syncing with your original files. Okay, so which means the changes in the CSS that you make here will also be reflected onto your main file. Okay, so let's try that. So if I go to super.css, if I come over here and if I change the background to, let's say, blue, hit enter, go back, you can see that the background has changed as well. Isn't that pretty cool? So which means that you can write all your CSS right over here, and that change will automatically come and reflect in your file. So let's say if I want to add something else, let's change this color first of all to something simple. Okay, and let's add font size of 18 pixels. Okay, and if you come back over here, you can see that font size has been added over here. Isn't that great? Okay, the only thing that would not happen is that if you come over here and if you change, for example, this one to nav, right, then if you refresh the page, those changes will not be there. So anything that you change over here will not reflect into your source code. You can see it's still div. However, anything that you change on this side, your styles, etc., that will change. You can see that the change that we had made earlier, the 18 pixel, is still reflected. So if I make it 20 pixels and refresh the page, you can see the change is reflected and it's implemented here as well. 20 pixels, yep. Great. Also, this is computed style, so this style is what you apply. Now after everything that's been applied, there's a code here and there's a code that's coming from foundation that is being applied on body. So after combining everything, the end result goes in the computed style. So you can see that the body has got the width of 1440 pixels and the height of 272 pixels. This is padding. Currently it doesn't have any padding, then border, then margin. So this is box model. And then if you want to see what style's been applied, like font size, remember we set that as 20 pixels, so it's showing that. Font weight, so you can see all of these attribute values right here. Okay, tomorrow if you want to check like if there's a style applied on an element when it's hovered, so let's say we go to this element and we add a style to it. I'm going to remove this JavaScript which is causing this first. Okay, let's go back to CSS, and I have this class which is, in fact, this is an ID. We don't write. Okay, let me add a class. Ideally, you should not write CSS on an ID. You should write it on class. So I'm just going to add a class over here. So my menu text, let's say I'll name that text, and I come over here and I say my menu text, and then I say hover. When it's hovered, then I want the color to be changed to, let's say, blue. Okay, if I refresh the page, I hover over it, it's going as blue. But to make it easier for you, what you can do is you'd see the element here, you click on it, you click on hover, and sure enough you can see that the blue color is applied. You can play with it, you can change it, you can do all of that. So you have active, focus, focus within, visited, all of that. So you can see what colors has been applied when it's hovered. Okay, great. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. In the next video we're going to discuss about the network tab, as to what are all these and how these things work, and how to check out what kind of requests are coming to your site and things like that. Okay, if you did like my video, please do subscribe to my channel and share my videos with others. Do like and comment, and I will see you in the next video. We will discuss about the network tab. Take care then.